I'm getting a thumbs up, but I just want to confirm that I see it here. So give me a moment.
Give me a thumbs up if we're good, Julia. All right, Scott, if you're listening, please. All right, we're going to move on to item 6B, which is our first item on the agenda today, AP_2024-0011, Marco Chavoya administrative permit for reduced side setbacks for a 5,000 square foot. Out on my schedule, it's not. Okay, that's fine. Apologies, my script was wrong. We're gonna go to item 6A, AP_2024-0033, Yasmin Mendoza Lopez, administrative permit to host outdoor events and weddings for up to 300 guests. One existing building consisting of a white barn-like structure is to be used for events with covered and uncovered areas for entertaining. At this time, I'm going to open the public hearing. Has there been any correspondence and/or telephone calls received for this item?
All correspondence has been posted to the website.
Thank you. All right. From staff, do we have a presentation today?
I need to be unmuted. Can you hear me? There we go. This is AP 2024-0033, Yasmin Lopez, Mendocino Planning Commission meeting of that's not the right date. July 7th, 2025. Here's the project location and an aerial photograph. And here's some site photographs taken by the applicant. Another one showing an aerial view of it. And this was in front of the structure that hosts the events. This is Burke Hill Drive looking down towards the property. And here's the front gate. And here's the gravel surface for the parking area. These were just recently taken. Here's a handicapped parking. The next slides show parts of the property that were not previously shown on the site plan submitted with the application. As such, staff is recommending that this project be continued to the August 7th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting, so staff can further analyze these additional areas that will be part of the event locations and add any further conditions of approval if it is deemed necessary. Here's a wedding ceremony gazebo up by the existing residence to the north of the residence, and decibel meter. And here's an event venue to the south of the residence that will be hosting unamplified music, according to the applicant. So those two locations were not analyzed or shown on the site plans, and we didn't find out about these until yesterday. So we would be asking for a continuance to August 7th. That kind of concludes my presentation.
All right, thank you. Do we have any questions from commissioners to staff?
So we're continuing this item and we're not going to go any more into the findings for today? Is that just for clarification, I'm a little unclear.
So if I may, Mark Kleiser, Senior Planner. Staff conducted a site visit on Monday, and during that site visit, it was found out that there were 2 locations on the site that were part of the events, but that were not represented in the staff report. So what we'd like to do is allow for Keith to present and then hear from the public as well as the applicant, but then continue this to August 7th to allow staff time to analyze these 2 additional areas on the property where events will be taking place or be part of the event, and then add any more conditions of approval to the staff report if necessary.
And if I may, Julia Krog, Planning and Building Services Director, I think the Commission has a couple choices today for how you want to handle today, especially since you have a number of members of the public here in attendance as well. There certainly can be discussion regarding the staff report that was prepared for this item, and any comments or concerns that may come from the Commission that you wish for staff to look at further. And also you could have the choice to hear public comment as well, and also hear from the applicant if you would like. But the request for continuance is to really allow so staff could ensure that if any other conditions are necessary as a result of utilizing these areas that weren't previously considered underneath the initial staff report, that we can do so. But I think given that there's some members of the audience here who may wish to provide comment as well, it would be great too if the Commission had any immediate comments or concerns that they wanted staff to look into further, that we can address those as part of August 7th as well.
Yeah, I think that sounds great. All right. I did have one question for staff because it was something I meant to look up before today's meeting, and I can't remember if Mendocino County has a noise ordinance.
The county does not have a noise ordinance.
Okay, I didn't think so. We don't. That was something I...
We have exterior noise limit standards that are included as part of the general plan and part of the zoning code, but we don't have a noise ordinance.
Correct. Okay. That's what because I was trying to look it up and I couldn't remember if that was still the case, because I remember back when McGordy was here, there was some discussion about doing that.
Sure, and actually, if there was direction given from the County Board of Supervisors to prepare a noise ordinance, and I believe that is still being drafted and being worked on. It's not handled directly by Planning and Building, so I can't give you the status of that.
Okay, no worries. I appreciate it. I was vaguely remembering something from McGordy's comments a while ago, and so I wanted to confirm. Thank you. All right. Do we have any other comments or questions from Commission for staff? Okay. At this time, I'm going to invite the applicant to speak if they would like to. When you come to the stand, please state your name for the record. Is her mic on? 1 second. 1 second. Is it? Okay, thank you.
Can you hear me? Okay,
Yes.
perfect. So my name is Yasmin Mendoza, and I have a plot plan. If I could share this with you guys, I have a copy for each person. I can come in.
I got your spares when you need
Oh,
them too.
perfect. I don't know if anybody else needs them, but okay. So I have my script written. I'm a little nervous, but my name is Yasmin Mendoza, and I'm the proud owner of Gather Events in Ukiah. And thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. I also want to thank the community that gathered here to support me and to inspire me to grow. Owning a venue like Gather has been a long life dream. I grew up in a wedding and event industry from a young age. I was surrounded by the joy and celebration that comes with helping people create unforgettable moments. That passion has stayed with me throughout my life, and that is what inspired me to build Gather Events and from ground up. When you walk onto our property, you're not just stepping into a venue. You're entering a space filled with care, intention, and beauty. I'd love to walk you through the experience I give every couple who tour with us. So here's the outline. When you arrive, I greet them personally at the gate and walk them from the parking area into our landscape grounds. We begin at the Pavilion Gardens, a beautiful maintained area with a gazebo perfect for ceremonies or romantic photos. It's surrounded with lush greenery, flowers, and it's one of our most peaceful spots. So during that time, the couple gets to choose an area where they want to be, and if that's the area, ceremonial happens, and it's about 20 minutes to 30 minutes long. With that moment, they have a speaker, a small speaker and a microphone so that they could hear the couple repeat their vows.
Yeah. 1 second, Yasmin. Could you put the photos back? Would staff be able to put the photos back up of the like garden pavilion and the courtyard space that was newly added to the application? Thank you. Thank you, Yasmin. It's just nice when you're talking about it for us to be
Yeah,
able to
of
see it
course,
too,
yes.
because as much as I love the site plan, it's nice to visually be able to see things too.
And just a note to the public, the site plan, there's a couple copies in the back. We're running more copies. If you'd like to take a look at it, it's at the back table by the door.
Thanks. Of the new spaces, that wedding ceremony garden space and then the outdoor patio reception space.
Here's the
Right
wedding.
there.
Okay, thank you.
So that is our Pavilion Gardens. Sorry, we just named all these locations, so we're still pretty new to it, remembering everything. So typically in that area, it's either a ceremonial area where people can sit down. We lay some chairs out there. There's a walk pathway, and the bride and the groom greet and meet each other. And if they don't want that area, it's an area for photo ops. So the bride and groom get to escape and enjoy that moment of them two under the gazebo or near the gazebo. And there's just, we're gardening and we have a lot of roses growing right now in that area. So from there, after we visit that site area, I listen to the couple and I hear exactly what they're wanting, what they're expecting, and what their dreams are. Next, I move them to Oak Tree Courtyard. The area features a primitive decorative wall that serves two purposes. One, it's a charming photo backdrop and throughout the sound, and a thoughtful sound barrier for our neighbor behind the property. That wall was built with bricks, cements, and it's layered with foam. So it's a good sound barrier. The courtyard includes fountains, manicured flower beds, ongoing landscape, efforts to enhance its beauty. Many couples choose this area for their ceremony location because of how breathtaking it feels. So that's the area right there. a lot of our couples enjoy that area. It's also a ceremonial area that takes about 20 minutes. So they walk down the aisle, they say their vows to one another, they get up, everybody celebrates, and then moves forward. From there, we walk to Willow Tree Plaza. Willow Tree Plaza is the photo that was on the application.
Okay.
Well, actually, all 4 of them were on the application. Right here. So this is Willow Tree Plaza. That's a cozy garden space framed with olive trees. We have a whipping willow to the right of it. It's a little bit further out. You can't see it, but we dedicated that name for that willow tree. It's a cozy garden space framed with olive trees, whipping willow, and rose bushes. It's typically used for cocktail hour, where guests enjoy appetizers and drinks while the couple escape and take a few portraits nearby. So during that time at the wedding, we have a few cocktail tables laid out for them, and we have a licensed bartender there, and they're about 1 hour spending just enjoying their time, decompressing after seeing the couple repeat their vows to each other. And, it just gives the couple a moment to enjoy what they just did and go get some photos around the property with their bridal party, their parents, and everybody is there enjoying the moment and getting ready to grow an appetite, basically. So after exploring the gardens, we walk over to our antique stables. There's not a photo of our antique stables on here, but that is the area where we keep our horses. So it's a quiet, rustic space where our horses stay during events and safety. We always have someone there to greet in case anybody wants to come in and see the horses and just have a therapeutic moment with them. Everybody loves seeing them and greeting them. They have a great moment. Finally, we arrive at the White Barn, our main reception space. This is where dinner, dancing, and celebration take place. The barn is spacious, versatile, and filled with character. It truly brings the event full circle. So during that moment, we move everybody into the White Barn, the coordinators that are on hand, me, the staff, and we have everybody come in, sit down, get ready for dinner, and basically it just gives a moment for the bride and groom to come in and be welcomed by their family and friends and have their first dance. Because most of the time during an event, a first dance is people wait until later to do a first dance. And people are walking around, they're not paying attention to the bride and groom anymore, they're eating, they're full, but they get to enjoy that aspect and see them enjoy their first dance. And with that, we created an area where we put walls around. So we have foaming inside so we can lower the sound. So when you're inside, it might feel louder, but as minute you take a step outside, the decimal has decreased completely. So that is something that we've taken account of and we looked at. Each space has been carefully designed to offer both beauty and function while being considerate of our neighbors and surrounding environments. I'm deeply committed to maintaining a respectful and welcoming venue for both our clients and our community. With that, I would like my mother to come up to give a little bit of a talk as well, because she would like to let you guys know how our planning is going.
Please also state your name for the record.
Thank you so much for your time. My name is Sonia Mendoza, Yasmin's mother, and we've been involved in helping her with developing her dream. I want to speak to Gather Events, mission and vision. Our statement is, Gather Event is a place to gather, celebrate, love unity, family, community, customs and traditions for generations. Gather Event empowers business development and growth. We foster a connection among wedding industry professionals that includes caterers, musicians, officiants, florists, decorators, hairstylists, makeup artists, DJs, musicians, hotels, My gosh, the list goes on and on with in this collaboration to make this event meaningful. We have 25 years of experience in the industry ourselves. We retired about 15 years ago from the industry when Yasmin took over, opened, I don't know if you know, but she owns Mendocino Bridal and Tux, and she's been in the industry. During COVID, that industry was devastated. All of the venues closed down, and people's events were canceled. Personally, she canceled 27 events. Generally, brides and grooms book a venue 1 to 2 years in advance. And so having to refund all these people for their decorations and dresses and events and tuxedos devastated her personally. And that really drove her to develop her dream of having her own venue so that she can service her local community and advance and increase people to come into this county. With regarding the administrative permit process, when she purchased the property, she was told she needed to apply for a permit. She applied in 2022, and she was given comprehensive requirements about what needed to be included, what the county included, and she provided that. On June 5th, 2023, she met with the zoning administrator in review of this permit, and community around the venue were concerned about noise and traffic and things of that nature. So we were assigned with the duty to provide them with a parking circulation plan inside the property. The property was being, if you can see it, there's a lot of landscaping that's been created, and just to give this memorable venue look. And we've respected the property's vision of 40-year history of being a farm, a ranch, and a place of gathering. The zoning administrator at that time required us to provide more information, and the meeting was carried to October 12, 2023. At that time, the county made recommendations regarding how many people would be adequate for the location, the capacity, the noise, the time of the operation. And the zoning administrator did a ruling, and you can still find those 2 meetings in the YouTube channel. I printed out transcripts, full transcripts, but very specific transcripts that describe his ruling. Unfortunately, his ruling did not make it to the resolution, and we thought it was a typo because it didn't get corrected. So we're a little confused with it. We were told that we had a 10-year permit. He authorized a 10-year permit with a 1-year review every year until we could resolve any issues with disputes with the neighborhood. And we were also told that our curfew would be to 10 o'clock p.m. And we were told that 200 capacity is what he recommended, and that we would look at this again within a year. In September 2024, we came to the county before the October 12th deadline for the review to find out what we needed to do and prepare for that review and what information. At the time, they said, oh, you just have to renew your permit and pay the renewal fee. And then we were told, no, you actually have to pay for the application again. And then we were told, and I said, but wait a minute, why we pay for an application? And at that time, we found out that the resolution was not updated with the recommendations of the zoning administrator. Although on the records of the county, it states that everything got approved. So we've been operating and generating contracts for people that are looking for hosting events for 2025, 2026. We're in a contractual agreement, and within our agreement, it stipulates time and things of that nature. So anyway, we we were closing into the deadline. The county said that they were going to review the transcripts, the meeting, and provide us with more information. And on May 23rd, we received your notification that we had a hearing here on June 5th. And we were so close to time, we had absolutely no idea that we had applied for a brand new permit. And at that time, we couldn't cancel appointments because it's wedding season for the bridal store, and we had there's so much graduation and so many events happening that we requested a continuance to provide us time to talk to the county and try to figure out exactly, figure out the confusion. And we've been working with the department to address those issues, and we are happy to do the continuance for the August meeting so that they're able to come into the property, view the property, make sure that we have everything set up as prepared. With regarding, we have structures and we have landscapes. And so we use the premises exterior for the ceremonial part, the I do. And then we bring people into the reception area, which is the white barn. So our noise outdoors, it's very minimal to amplified music, and it could be 20 minutes to an hour. And the event itself takes place indoors. And like Jasmine said, everything is surrounded with noise barriers to minimize noise. We did hire a sound engineer early on 2023 to help us mitigate. So he provided us with a lot of information. I believe you have his letter that has been submitted, and we have kept up with all his recommendations. We know that there is no noise ordinance in the county, and we are happy to work with the department in instituting a noise ordinance that is that can comply with the standards of the industry. I am troubled with the idea that a child can go to prom, and the prom ends at 11 p.m., but a wedding couple would have to terminate music at 9 p.m. Terminating music is not a noise ordinance. Ending an event earlier than expected contributes harshly to the business community because you just don't have the time and the resources to go through the outline of all the normal standard ceremonial situations that happen in a wedding, such as dinner, such as the vows, the picture time, time to mingle with the families. And of course, music really sets the scene for absolutely the entire process. It's kind of like, it's the orchestra, it moves everyone. With that, I do also want to address the concerns of the neighbors. We take into heart their opinions, and we read their letters, and we heard them at the previous meeting. Our neighbors were concerned about parking. In the past, J Arena didn't have a parking circulation plan, and they would use the community, and they would park on the street, basically. We don't do that. We have a parking. Everyone parks inside the property, and so that should alleviate the concerns for traffic. We've been hosting the maximum of events, or people that have come to our property have been 200, and we've been able to have them park in the premises with absolutely no problem. There's concerns about lighting. And we agree that we tried all kinds of different lightings because we want people's safety. We needed to light up the parking lot. And it's very different from winter to summer. Right now, we don't have we don't need much lighting. But we tried a bunch of different things, and we kept our, we opted to stay with string lights that are safe. They are, their illuminating is minimal, and people are able to transition into the property with absolutely no problem. With regarding the noise control, people were saying that their windows were shaking and their house was coming down, and that freaked us out. They said that our music could be heard all the way to Oak Knoll. From Burke Hill to Oak Knoll, it's miles and miles away. So we were very concerned about that, and we wanted to find out. So we did hire an expert to come during an event and monitor sound, because we've been following the recommendations of our sound engineer. And so we've been monitoring decibel readings. We walk throughout the entire property and go across the freeway and up the streets to monitor, to make sure that the noise does not exceed certain levels. Music at our barn, we recommend musicians to angle their equipment up to the freeway, because it's right on the frontage of the freeway. And the decibel reading is set to no more than 85. If they go past 85 decibels, we come up, it kind of cues us, and we come up and show them how to monitor. We've been surprised to know that many musicians do not even know about noise ordinance, decibel readings. They don't know how to monitor their equipment. And so we've been learning a lot throughout the process. When people are indoor in the barn or in the white barn, the decibel readings outside of it immediately, like right by the door, it drops almost 30 decibels. As you move away, it reduces a lot. Obviously, there is time when they're setting up and they're probing everything, and it's loud and things like that. But we go up the hill and monitor, and all the decibels are way below the 50, which is very comfortable. People can have a conversation, dance, and it doesn't bother anyone. The barn does not shake, our house does not shake, and so we hired an independent sound engineer to go check on the neighbors. And what he found, I think it has been written in his letter that he submitted, and he's happy to work with you and discuss what he found, other events going on in the neighborhood. We don't want to be pinned for those. And I think that as far as the application currently that has been submitted by the department and in review, our only concern is that 9 o'clock curfew. The 9 o'clock curfew, cutting off music is ending a business. It's telling you, oh, you own a restaurant, but you can no longer serve food past 9 o'clock. And you still have to pay staff till 11. And so what are people to do for another hour or for 2 hours? It really terminates an event. And like I said, we need to explore the resolution for noise. We also took a survey of all of our neighbors around the property. Many of them have submitted letters. We went to ask if we are bothering them, if the traffic, if there's noise, if we're a nuisance. The majority of them said no. We took a survey on our platforms, and we asked the public and brides that are looking into our venue and said, what would you prefer, a 9 o'clock curfew or before or after 9? And 99 of them voted, after 9. And so we want to be consistent. Gather Events is a professional place where people will come to celebrate. And we are mindful of people's needs, and we are mindful of our neighbors. Many of our neighbors operate businesses in their premises, whether it's agriculture, whatever businesses they are. Gather Events you know, we need that opportunity as well. Finally, I just want to say that we're happy to collaborate with the department. We agree that possibly maybe they don't know the exact locations of our landscaping, where people that are welcome to the event will walk through the landscape, enjoy the venue, but our celebrations, all of them have been indoor. And with that, I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Would it be possible with our commission, I need a 5-minute bio break. Can we do that real quick? All right, I appreciate it. We'll be back in 5 minutes. All right, everybody. I appreciate you standing here with me. I'm dealing with Got 10 weeks left, so I appreciate everyone. All right. So we heard from our applicant, and I do want to give our commissioners an opportunity to ask questions of our applicant at this time. Do we have any questions from our commissioners for our applicant? Diana.
Yes, thank you for the presentation. And so, just so I'm clear, is you would like a longer venue than ending at 9 o'clock. And what would be your ideal time for you?
Can you hear? Oh, ideal time would be 11 p.m.
Okay.
Truthfully, just because it just, a wedding starts at 4 or 5 p.m. ceremony, and typically a wedding will be 6 to 7 hours.
Okay.
By the time they get to dinner time, it takes a while to get the dancing going, and dancing's about 2 hours.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Thank you. That's helpful for me. And of course, we'll hear from the other neighbors going forward, but that gives me an insight.
Thank you.
Okay. And one more thing while you're up. The application gave a limited amount of event days, correct?
Correct.
And what are those? What's that number?
So it's 5 for every 6 months.
Okay.
Over 100.
Okay.
Anything under 100, there's no needed for a permit.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think that's consistent with the zoning, anything under 100 people.
Yeah.
Okay, I was,
Get it on record.
okay, thank you. Okay. Do we have any other questions for the applicant from our commissioners? All right, seeing none. At this time, I'm going to open for public comment. The commission will now hear public comment on this item. The commission will start with the public comments in the room and then hear from telecommenters that are connected via Zoom virtually. When called to speak, please state your name for the record. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person. Speakers are asked to please address their comments to the meeting chair and to refrain from using profanity or engaging in conversations with members of the audience or staff. Do we have any members of the public that would like to speak on this item? Great. Please come up to the podium and speak your name for our record, please.
Good morning. Katrina Bartlemay. I am a Burke Hill resident. I have a little prepared statement because I don't speak very well in front of people either. Thank you for hearing this, and thank you to Supervisor John Haschek for getting this scheduled. This item was first heard in October of 2023 by the Zoning Commissioner. It was supposed to be revisited within a year, but here we are now, July 17th, 2025, almost 2 years later. After hearing Mrs. Mendoza's explanation, we kind of understand that this looks like it was probably dropped. In October 2023, the Zoning Commissioner set some limitations, one of which was limiting the events to 5 events in a 6-month period. They have had numerous loud events that have well exceeded the 5 events in a 5-month period. We are a rural agricultural neighborhood and have always enjoyed the peace and comfort that this brings. Most of us have lived in this neighborhood for anywhere from 5 to 30 plus years. I have been asked to speak and represent several of the neighbors north of the facility, so that's towards town, and who live within 400 feet of the facility. We are not related to the property owners nor mutual friends, nor do we live a mile or more away from the facility. We are the neighbors. Many of the neighbors who could not be here in person have written letters of concern that were sent in and are included in your packets. No one came to any of us and asked us about the noise. I am a Burke Hill resident. While most of us are not opposed to the facility, we are opposed to not being respected as neighbors. Since October 2023 to present time, we have been forced to live with extremely loud music that many times goes past 10 p.m. We've also dealt with people coming onto our properties, looking for the facility because they're lost, and cars being parked in the roadway. I have a video, and actually this happened 2 weeks in a row, that I'd like to play for you. I don't know what the decibel meter is, but I know it was extremely loud. That may have been the same one. Sorry about that. This is the one that was shaking our windows. We are glad to see that a decibel reader has been installed to help with the noise, and hope it is used and that it is helping. So this was out in front. So I'm not quite sure. It seems that the speakers are pointed out front, but they're kind of in a hole.
I'm sorry, could you please wrap it up? Your time has ended.
Sure.
Thank you.
If the facility owners respected their neighbors, they would make sure the rules are followed. None of this has happened. We as neighbors respectfully ask that the commission limit and enforce that the events are limited to 5 events in a 6-month period and require the music to end at 9 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have our next public commenter, please? Thank you.
So,
Oh, please
Good.
speak your name for the...
my name is Omar Gizar,
Thank you.
and I'm actually the sound engineer that they consult, ask for consultations on the sound that they have and the noises. But as an example, I have a decibel meter for you guys here. So you can just take a look. The numbers go up and down. So based on the video that you just showed, if you get too close to the sound, it's gonna sound louder, right? But if you're far away, the sound goes away. So I'm not saying that that's probably not happening, but this is a decibel meter. But based on the findings, I proposed, and actually I suggested to them to go with a 90 decibel state law. What it means, for any sound venues, you could be at 90 decibels for a prolonged time of 4 hours and not damaging your hearing. So I suggested to them to go to 85 decibels instead, which they already have implemented and installed decibel meters inside the white barn for that purpose. And this is my first time, so I'm a little bit nervous, but I just speaking on behalf of them also, because I know they're doing due diligence to mitigate this. But I just wanted to show you guys, how decibel meter works. You go closer to a sound source, it's gonna be louder. But if you're farther away, it's not gonna sound that much. So when they mentioned to me that the windows were rattling, I said, that's not possible. Because I even proposed to them to get a sound system, an active sound system, which it has already an amplifier on the speakers that you can set down to 85 decibels and not go beyond that. And even though the musicians could play it as loud as they want, the sound system will not go beyond that. And I did that personally and programmed the sound system for them, myself, inside of the white barn. So with that being said, I just, wanted to speak on behalf of them. I know they're professional people and they have a professional business, and they're definitely, they're one of the businesses that I've seen with the more commitment to do what is right, for the community and the neighbors. So I'm hoping that you guys consider this for them, and just want to bring up a little of some of the examples that I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can we have our next public commenter, please? Thank you. Please state your name for the record.
Good morning. My name is Pamela Campbell. I've known the Mendozas for several years, doing business with them. I work in advertising and I work for Bicoastal Media. And they're super nice, fair people. They're always respectful. And they've helped me out several times doing community events for businesses and people in the community. when I went to them and asked them, and they've donated their space for me, and I've referred nonprofits, and I've seen them help a lot of people. So I think they have a great place for the community. And I've known Jasmine since she was young, and her passion has always been weddings, and her goal was always to open a wedding venue. So it's a beautiful thing to see somebody, let that happen. It's just a little disheartening that it's been such, so hard for her. I also live in the county. Sometimes I hear things from my neighbors. Sometimes, you just, I don't know. I've been there though, and, I don't know if, well, anyways, I hope we can come to a good resolution. They're good people. They have a great business, and I think they have a lot to give this community. Thank you.
Excuse me, could you please state your first name again? I missed it.
Absolutely. Pamela Campbell.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm on mute. Do we have any other public commenters for this item? Thank you.
Good morning. Sorry. My name is Ed Epperson. I'm a Burke Hill neighbor. What I want to do is read from a letter that I sent in back when this was anticipated to this discussion early June, and then a brief comment or two to follow up. Over the period of the applicant's limited use permit, which has long since expired, disruption to the neighborhood has been experienced by those of us that actually live in the neighborhood. My perception is that every element of the expired application's requirements has been violated in the event center, from ending time to quantity and frequency of events held. There have been attendees parking on the side of Burke Hill Drive, creating a hazard should there be a need for emergency evacuation of the area. As recently as this week, this was dated May 23rd of this year, as recently as this week, there was a wildfire next to or on their property, which really reminded us that this is a real threat. In a couple months since I wrote this, nothing has improved in terms of them following the requirements. You heard your staff talk about things they've been doing that they don't know about until just now. So in closing, I would ask that this be denied entirely. I think, one, it is incompatible with the rural neighborhood to have wedding parties until late at night. This is a rural, quiet, agricultural neighborhood. And secondly, I think you should deny it because I think it's proven that these folks will not likely, they have not been following the requirements. There's no reason to expect they would suddenly start to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public commenters in the room that wish to speak on this item? Thank you. Please state your name for our record.
Hello, my name is Talajit Pardini. I am one of the boarders at Gather Events, and I've attended several events at Gather Events, and I mostly hang out in the barn with my horses, and I attend to the barn when people come in and visit them, and on many occasions, Yasmin would hand me her phone and ask me to go check the sound. Each time the noise would record below the limit. During the event, Yasmin or one of her family members would let the entertainment or the host know that they have an hour left or half an hour left to play the music. Before it gets dark, one of us at the ranch would turn the lights on for the guests to see once the event is over, the lights are turned off and the lights get turned down on the power. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do we have any other public commenters in the room? Thank you so much. Please state your name for our record.
Good morning. My name is Lori Fott, and I am a neighbor south of Gather Events, used to be Jerry Arena. Unfortunately, they have not followed any of their temporary permit restrictions. I guess I'll start with the parking since they advise they've never parked on the road. I have several pictures where they are parked on Burke Hill. I have a picture where I waited 5 minutes before I decided to pull out my camera where the road is completely blocked by a car trying to get in. So unfortunately, they have parked on the main road, which does cause hazards. Time frame. I have a list of events which appear to be large, over 100 people, 19 in the last year alone. I have videos. Most current video, 6/7/25, large gathering, over 100. Time, 10:22 p.m. with loud music. I have another video, 11:23, same thing, 10:37. The loudest I have, or the correction, the latest is 1:25/25, music, 11:29. I work at 6 a.m. on Sunday mornings. I have to be up at 4:30 to get ready and take care of my animals, and staying up affects my job. Us as neighbors, we request some respect. If we do approve this, there's no parking for 200 people. If their permit is 200 now. If they want 300, we don't even have enough room to park 200 guests. So how are 300 guests going to park? The music is a big issue. We would just ask if you're going to approve it, which we do not approve as a member or the neighbors, please look at the 9 o'clock. They have no intentions on following the rules. Local law enforcement has responded directly to their residents where they have told the deputies they were not turning down the music and refused, and then filed a formal complaint against officers for trying to do their jobs. So once again, the parking, the fire hazard, my property was affected by the fire. It wasn't their property directly, it was their renters, and they do own that property. So the fire, the music, the parking is all a concern. Like I said, if we're gonna approve this, we would just like some respect in the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any additional commenters?
My name is Charlie Coleman. I'm speaking on behalf of the noise ordinance people on this one. I worked with McGordy for more than 6 months to try and get a noise ordinance. I was at the last meetings when Ms. Bartlett spoke as well. I know what they're going through. And the gentleman may say windows don't rattle. In our neighborhood, the windows rattle. And so it's not just our neighbors, it's not just this thing here. This county needs to get an active noise ordinance. It was sent by the Board of Supervisors to County Council. Now they're sitting on it because they're short staff. Well, in the meantime, the rest of us end up having to suffer. So you guys need to pay attention to something. That when someone says the music is being played till 11:30, in my case, 3:30 and 5 o'clock in the morning, very loud, windows rattling, it's true stuff. Most people won't come and stand before you because they're afraid of their neighbors. Most of these people have already said, and I think you'll hear it later on again, we were never approached about this. So in the noise ordinance, we're asking for 10 o'clock. It's based on noise ordinances around rural areas in Mendocino County. So 10 o'clock is kind of the standard. I'm on the fair board. We can't run races after 10 o'clock at night. The noise has to be off. That's been the standard for a long time. There's no enforcement right now, even though the general plan from 1980 has some sound issues in it. It's time for this county to get a noise ordinance that protects the neighbors that have been living there longer than the people that move in and start making the noise. So please pay attention to the people saying noise is an issue, because it is an issue in this county. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any additional commenters on this item?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name's Amanda Pardini. I submitted a letter, but I also wanted to come in person as well and talk on behalf of the Mendoza family. The Mendoza family has been a part of my family for 3 years. I'm a boarder there with my daughter. We board the horses. The Mendozas have put together an event venue for families to come together, for people to come together and celebrate. I recently just had an event there last Saturday for my daughter's graduation. I also was there when Ms. Brianna Jenny had the event venue before. I myself had to park on Tomahawk Road because there was not enough parking in the venue. Since then, the Mendozas have extended out the parking, so there's no longer a fence blocking the parking in the front. They've extended out the fencing, so all the events that I have been to, there has not been any parking on the streets, on Burke Hill Road or on Tomahawk Road. I know this can continue to be an issue, and I know how upsetting that the neighbors are. As being a neighbor myself, I live in an apartment, so I know how noise can affect people. I live literally right next to noisy neighbors. So I just hope that you guys can all come to an agreement and understand that this venue is well needed in our community, appreciated. All of the clients that they've had really appreciate the venue, having a space to come to where families can come together and friends and can unite and appreciate and enjoy a venue that's so beautiful and breathtaking. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Do we have any additional commenters in the room? Please come up to the podium and state your name for our record, please. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Andrew Parmenter, and I'm the owner of Redwood Taxi in Ukiah for 20 years. I'm not even here for this particular subject. It's the second one, but I just want to say the idea of shutting down a wedding reception at 9 p.m. is just plain dumb. I've been doing this for 20 years, and weddings are always on Saturdays, and all weddings always go to 11 p.m. That's just industry standard. That's all I had to say.
Thank you. Okay. Any other commenters for this item today? Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Ramon Mendoza, and I am Jasmine's father. I was raised on 4601 Arrobo Road, right across the gather events. We're not strangers from this country, from this county. We've been living here for almost 40 years. Jasmine was born here and raised, so it's not like we're coming over to take over like some other mentions. I want to say that I don't think it's a problem with music or noise. I think it's the kind of music that is being played, because being raised at 4601 Arrobo Road for many years, I've seen J Arena having speakers. They have big spotlights where they had all the lights going on while they were doing their horses, and until 12, 11 p.m. in the afternoon. So again, like I said, Jasmine has put a lot of effort to having this event center here. She brings family in. It's not about having problems with the neighbors. I know that some neighbors have mentioned that their windows rattle up in the media. I mean, it's up in Facebook saying things about my daughter, and we have proof of that. It's not okay. It's not okay, because it's a business that is being run there for families, and it brings a lot of economic to the county when something like that goes on. So shutting down the business at 9 p.m., I mean, that's pretty early for someone that is going to spend, $20,000, $30,000 on a wedding, especially if they're coming from out of the country and they meet there for that. So I beg you guys that when you consider this kind of thing, think about all the effort that she has put, all the expenses that she has put in this event, just because somebody else is saying that it's not being honest about what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Please speak your name for a record.
Good morning. I'm Martha Barra, and I also run an event center. And let me put this into perspective for you. It is 9 o'clock is much too early to shut down a venue that's used for, I don't care if it's celebration of life or weddings or whatever it is. Our contracts call that music ends at 10 o'clock. The event, then they have an hour after that to shut down their activities. So to me, that's very reasonable. I think we're in a different situation in that we don't have neighbors close by. So, but working with the neighbors would certainly, and meeting your requirements. I'm just giving that as an input to what's reasonable. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other commenters for this item? I'm going to switch over to, do we have any hands raised in Zoom for commenters joining us virtually?
We have one raised hand. I'm going to let in Araceli Grow.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is Araceli Grow, and I'm a wedding event planner. And I'm really shocked to hear all of this because I have worked events at Gather Events and I've never seen such an organized venue. I've had nothing but good comments from the bride and groom about this venue. First of all, it's a beautiful venue. They have everything a bride and groom want for their wedding day, for their special day. And it's really shocking to hear the neighbors saying that their windows are rattling and stuff when I've been there from the morning to the end and I'm able to have a conversation right outside the inside of the venue and right outside the venue with actually the bride and groom telling me of how much they appreciate the venue and how much of a great day they had. To go back to the 9 o'clock time of a venue being the music being over with at 9 p.m. That is just. I submitted a letter, by the way, so you guys could totally read my letter, and it has all the details in there of how I feel about it. But it's in the wedding industry. That's impossible. Like 9 p.m. that is not a reasonable time to end music. I've worked other events and there's been times where you can't even hear each other at the event. And I can tell you that Gather Events, Jasmine has done a really great job making sure that every vendor is doing their job and they're following all the rules. I've been a witness of her actually. Once all the vendors come in, obviously that's part of my job is making sure that everybody's doing their job also and that the event runs smoothly. But I've never been at any venues where the actual owner is there. She's present to make sure that everything is dialed into the accordance to what everybody has to do, especially the sound. She's very on top of making sure that the sound's not disturbing the neighbors or that the sound's not too loud for the guests, because at a certain decimal, it's not healthy to have it at that decimal because of their hearing or whatever it is. She just makes sure that everything is set the way it's supposed to be set. And I have text messages and emails from brides and grooms that I probably should have submitted that are still sending messages saying how great Gather Events is and how great their wedding was. So I'm just really shocked to hear. And regarding the parking, I've never seen any cars. There's somebody there always directing the parking, where everybody's always making sure.
Thank you.
That everything's running smoothly. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Do we have any other hands raised virtually?
There are no other raised hands on Zoom.
All right. And I just want to make sure that everyone had the opportunity to speak on this item in the room that wanted to. All right. Seeing none. We do want to provide staff an opportunity if they have any final remarks today.
Oh, no, I have no further remarks.
And I think if I may, Julia Krug, Planning and Building Services Director, I think we are just, again, still requesting the item be continued to the August 7th agenda, but we would, of course, like to hear from the Commission if there is anything based upon public comment today or anything that you saw within the staff report or the presentations that you would like further clarification on from staff that we can incorporate into that.
Thank you, Julia. I do want to invite the applicant for any final remarks, since we do have another item that we have another meeting after this meeting today that I want to be respectful of their time. I'm going to restrict that to 3 minutes as well for any final remarks from the applicant today.
If you don't mind, I would like to show you guys a video of me doing sound check. Most of the time.
If I may.
Sorry, my name is Yasmin Mendoza.
And if I may, I think any sort of videos, please submit those to us and we can make those be posted online. So it's available to the Commission and the public for the next meeting.
I can definitely do that. Basically, I just want to let you guys know that when an event happens, I walk outside of my property and I go up to my other properties and I'm constantly with my sound monitor. on my decimal reader that Omar taught me how to use. And I am always checking to see what the levels are. Before the event starts, I talk to the musicians and we do sound check. And it's always going to be a little bit louder during sound check. If the musicians pass a certain limit of decimals, I come to them and I notify them that they need to bring it down. If it continues to exceed a certain decimal limit, and if I'm up at my hill next to where my neighbor lives, if it is past 0.45 or 0.55 decimals, I come down and I notify the musicians that either they need to shut it off or they need to lower it or unplug their music from the speakers. Throughout my process, I have taught a few groups that have come, and I have told them, you can't even hear what you guys are saying. You're here to sing to the couple. You're here to sing to the family. So learn to move your decimals around and learn to bring the instruments at certain different levels. The decimal readers inside, there's 2, hung inside the barn, and they can see them. DJs, typically, they tell me, when we test it, I say 85, and most of them tell me we don't even go over 82. So the minute we close the door and I go outside when sound check is happening, it'll be at 82 inside. Outside, it's about 56. When I go up to my property, it hits 0.45 up on a hill and 55, but most of it, what you're hearing also is freeway. When a semi truck passes by, it's about almost a 0.80 decimal. Us breathing also affects that. A cricket was 0.70, and I was trying to find where the cricket was at, and I was like, hey, you're gonna disturb my neighbor. I take consideration of all of that. When I walk behind my property where the music's at, behind in the back, it's at a 0.40. I have a fountain running, and the fountain makes sound. My children are asleep up at the house when I have an event with no issues. They don't wake up. If somebody cracks an egg, my kids wake up. So when there's music playing, my kids are fine. So I do take consideration of all of that. And regarding the parking, I'm a little shocked. If they see parking, typically what we do is we close the gate at a certain time so no more people enter. And the bride and groom are aware of that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right. I'm going to see if our commissioners have any further questions for staff or the applicant. I'm going to start with Commissioner Wiedemann.
Yes. So how many parking spaces are designated on this site plan? I'm asking the planner.
Mark Collision, Senior Planner, there has been a new site plan submitted, and there are 100 parking spaces on it.
100 parking spaces. Mm-hmm. Okay. And the permit asks for up to 300 guests, correct? Okay. That's one question. And then I'm going to ask, where did the 9 o'clock cut music come from? Was that the planner?
That was from the zoning administrator at the previous hearing in October of 23.
Okay, thank you. And let's see. And lighting, we have these, the lighting issues, right? As far as we have lights that are strung up, and are they encased in a globe or anything, or are they just bulbs strung up, colored bulbs, or are they varied? In other words, like in the coastal zone, we like downcasted lights. Are most of the lights downcasted? I know some have to be celebratory.
When staff visited on Monday, the lights were strung. They were these more sort of antique bulbs, and they didn't look like it had a lot of wattage.
Okay.
But there were no spotlights.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Those were my questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Pollan?
I guess the only question I have is, Do we have any objective verification of the parking and/or sound issues from Sheriff's Department or any other agencies that we can verify one way or the other from these statements?
Mark Kleiser, Senior Planner. Staff did contact the Sheriff's Office, and between the dates of 7/16, no, I'm sorry, November of 2024 and July, yesterday, 16th, 2025, there were 3 disturbance calls.
For sound?
They didn't specify. It just said disturbance.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Richards? You can use your finger too, it's touchscreen. Special.
It was November 24 to July 16 of this year. Are we checking during the first permit period? It was October. Remind me what the first period was.
The dates provided by the Sheriff's Office were 11/16/2024 through June 22nd, 2025. And the report was generated, or rather the question was answered yesterday.
And if that's information that the commission would like to have to look back at the original, the previous administrative permit period, we can certainly conduct outreach between now and August
Thank you.
7th.
And I guess I'm a little confused. I trying to look at the videos that Ms. Bartlemy played. So I understand that there's music inside the barn. Sounds like the general wedding event. Is there music played outside of the barn?
Yeah, staff's understanding is that there are bands, but they're not amplified, and they're in that southern lawn location that had the wall. And the wall is soundproof, and the band would play on that stage.
So not amplified.
Not amplified, yes.
All right. I had, I guess, some just clarification questions that maybe would help some of the public as well. This permit application, to my understanding, we have no authority to restrict any events that are under 100 persons at this event space within this permit as the Planning Commission.
So the county zoning code, the only type of regulated events begin at above 100 attendees.
Okay, so we are restricting this, the 5 permits in the 6 month period, but any events exceeding that are under 100 people, they can have an event every day under 100 people, and we can't have any authority over that, correct?
Yeah, no permit is required.
Okay. Thank you. I wanted to provide clarity just because I know that there's been concern about the amount of events that happen. This is a permit that has conditions for any permits exceeding that 100 persons. And this body has no authority over any events under that. Those were all of my questions. Did we have any final comment from staff?
No final comments.
I know that there's recommendation or request from staff to continue this item to a date certain. Do we have any additional questions from commission, or do I invite a motion at this time? I think you're 5, right?
Commissioner Weidman here. I actually thought that if we had some recommendations or changes to the staff report, that's what we're doing, not making a motion to adopt or to deny.
It would be an motion to continue the item to a date certain currently, unless we have recommendations that we want to provide to staff at this time before we make that motion. I mean, and there is we could make a motion to approve or deny at this time as well as an option. Just getting clarification from county council
If I may, generally, I think we would recommend against that because staff would really appreciate the opportunity to evaluate the entirety of the operations, which that's the request for the continuance from us.
No worries. I just wanted to make sure we had all our options here. So.
And Deputy County Counsel Matthew Godrowski, the site plan today, it shows many more parking spaces than were on the original site plan, so that would affect the staff report and its conclusions as well.
Okay. So yeah, if we do have any questions, comments for our continuance or recommendations for any additional conditions that we would like to see maybe added to the staff report for the next time, that we can do that now, and then we can, make a motion on continuance for the August 7th date certain. Did you have any items you wanted to add on there, Diana, for next time?
I understand that when we're asking this application is, for events that are over 100, and it's to 200 to 300, and that's referring to, let's call the 9 o'clock noise cutoff time. So any events, and probably you do several events that don't have 100 people, you're welcome to have noise longer than 9 o'clock, right? So, to my understanding of what's before us. And so I think there has to be a balance someplace, just in thinking. For you have neighbors who are concerned, right? And are being affected just by the nature of events. And I just want to be clear that you do have a lot of days that you're not going to have the big crowds, but you're going to have 100, under 100, that you can do your events. And I just want to reemphasize that to, I guess, the community and my fellow commissioners. And that's all I'm pointing out. And with that, I can make a motion to carry it.
I have one more comment, because I noticed that during our meeting and hearing from the applicant, the request was to extend that time period. Right now, the request as it stands is only until 9 p.m. for music. So I just wanted that to be clear. If there's a request to extend that 9 p.m., that should most likely be done before our next meeting, if there are any additional changes, right, to come back with staff.
If I may just clarify, I believe staff had recommended the limit on the 9 p.m. based upon the conditions from the prior administrative permit. So if the commission would like for us, we can certainly look at the request about, alternate hours.
I was just looking at the request on the staff report, and I wanted to confirm whether that was the request from the applicant or if that was the request from staff, I guess. Because typically on the application, it's usually their request.
Yeah, the request is described on, say the agenda in the first page of the staff report is the request that's prepared by staff summarizing the project overall.
All right. We do have a question. I haven't closed the public hearing yet. We do have a question from our applicant here. Did you have a clarifying question?
If I may, my name is Sonia Mendoza. I just wanted to clarify the discrepancy between the first permit, the recommendations of the department, and the zoning administrator's ruling.
Okay.
The zoning administrator's ruling did not make it to the signed resolution. Those changes were not done, and that's why it's confusing. I personally feel that the department did copy-paste from the old, or from the first drafted permit, copy-paste to this current permit. We didn't even know that it was a new permit. And so we addressed a list of all of the concerns that we have that are written on the document that you have.
Okay.
And we were going to have an attorney review it as well, because we were concerned that an error has been carried forward to this new permit. We were authorized to a 10 p.m. curfew to cut it off when there's no noise ordinance. We were hoping that a noise ordinance would be created so that we can come up and say, hey, we want to go based on the noise ordinance. We've done our self-policing in addressing the noise to the best of our concerns. I just wanted to point that out because it's confusing. The documentation is confusing, and that's why I would love to sit down with the department and have an opportunity to review the information that they provided you and get that corrected, because it does not reflect. When we first applied, the project was under construction. We had a lot of permits. We were creating the spaces. We were doing a lot of construction. We have completed all of the constructions. Now we have the full picture of what the venue looks like, and the places where people walk to, and the places where we have assigned for specific reception area. The sounds that you heard from the neighbor, that's a recording. If you stand directly on our frontage door.
And I appreciate that.
Sure.
And I think that, I guess our recommendation was just to get clarity between the applicant and staff,
Yeah,
and when we
okay.
come back for our August
Yes,
7th would be
we would love to have
fantastic
that
for us, so that
opportunity.
there's no confusion.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
thank you so much. All right, at this, yes. Where'd you go?
I don't know where.
It's the square.
No. Oh, there it is. Okay. I had one last question for staff. So was the first go around till 10 o'clock on large events? And did that get changed in this rendition?
I think if you would allow staff, we can look back at that. I don't know that we have that answer at our fingertips at this moment.
So for the next meeting, we'll
yes,
get that?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to invite a motion at this time. Do we have a motion? I was looking at you just because it was your district here.
Oh, yeah. My motion is to carry this item to, it was
August 7th.
August 7th?
Yes.
I'll second that, since I'm so close here.
Just before we vote on that, just to make
Yes.
sure we're going to have a quorum, I know that I will not be at that meeting on August 7th. Are there any other?
I will be here. I will
I'll
be here.
Okay. All right.
All right, so we got at least 3, so we do have quorum. But thank you, Cliff, I appreciate that, because I know with our July 4th
Right.
one, we did that, and I appreciated that advance notice, so thank you. So I do second that. Can we get roll call vote, please?
Chair Babini,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiedemann,
Yes.
Commissioner Richards,
Yes.
Vice Chair Paulin.
Yes.
All right.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone who came, and to our applicant and our staff, and everyone who provided comment today. I do appreciate it. I just want to check in with all our staff here if anyone needs a break. I'm good right now, but if anyone needs a break before our next item. Okay, let's continue. I know we have an item that uses this room, I believe, after us, so we want to get through our whole item next.
And if I can clarify, that meeting, I think, is actually in a different room.
Okay.
At the county complex.
I wanted
Yes.
to just make sure, because when I saw that, I wanted to make sure we weren't going
Yes.
to hold that up or not be able to get through our item
Yes.
here. So I appreciate the clarity from staff. All right. We're going to move on to item 6B. AP_2024-0011 Marco Chavoya, administrative permit for reduced side setbacks for a 5,000 square foot mixed light cannabis cultivation operation, permit type 1B. I am going to open this item. I think there was an additional request to continue this item as well. We wanted to give staff an opportunity to present and hear comment from folks who came to speak to this item as well.
And if I may, I actually don't believe that there is a continuance request for this, so apologies if those wires got crossed.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I thought that was from staff.
Yeah.
That's my problem.
Yeah.
No worries. I appreciate it. I thought that was for both items. My bad. Okay. Has there been any, for our clerk, has there been any correspondence or telephone calls received for this item?
All correspondence has been posted to the website.
Okay. I'm going to ask staff for a presentation here. Thank you.
And I believe Mark is going to be putting the presentation on screen momentarily. All right. Good morning. Thank you for the project introduction. I'm Rob Fitzsimmons, the staff planner for this project. Administrative permits are typically heard by the zoning administrator, but given the level of public interest in this project, the zoning administrator has chosen to refer it to the Planning Commission for consideration. Next slide, please. This site is located about 1.5 miles north of Redwood Valley Town Center on the west side of East Road, about 500 feet north of its intersection with Road J. The address is 10550 East Road, Redwood Valley. Next slide. The 6.5 acre subject parcel is quite narrow, approximately 200 feet wide from north to south, and currently developed with a single-family dwelling, a detached garage, and a barn. The Russian River runs along the rear or western edge of the parcel. Next slide. As described in the staff report, the applicant proposes 5,000 square feet of mixed-light cannabis cultivation within 6 greenhouses to be constructed in the center of the parcel. This is typically allowable in the rural residential zoning district with just a ministerial cannabis cultivation business license, not rising to the level of a public hearing, provided the standard 100-foot setbacks to property lines can be met. However, the applicant has proposed cultivation closer than that. This can be accommodated via an administrative permit to reduce the standard cultivation setbacks by up to 50 feet. Please note that the standard 200-foot setbacks from the cultivation to neighboring dwellings under separate ownership must still be maintained. Given the subject parcel is only about 200 feet wide, there was nowhere on site that could support new cannabis cultivation without the requested setback reduction. That's not a finding required to approve the setback reduction, but it's relevant in this case as it means a denial of this request would effectively be a denial of any commercial cannabis cultivation on site. Next slide, please. As discussed in the memo published earlier today, a last-minute issue has arisen. Although the site plan reviewed in the staff report identified the nearest residences on adjacent parcels, there is in fact a closer residence 2 parcels to the north. Despite being 2 parcels away, the structure would still be within 200 feet of the greenhouses as initially proposed, meaning the permit would not have been approvable, or had it been approved, it would not have been subject to immediate revocation or modification. Next slide. Earlier today, the applicant's agent submitted a revised site plan to address this issue, shifting the proposed greenhouses 18 feet to the south. This ensures the residential setback to the newly discussed structure is maintained, along with all previously identified structures. The revised requested property line cultivation setbacks would be 92 feet to the northern line and 62 feet to the south. As cultivation would still be a minimum of 50 feet from all property lines, staff's recommended action and resolution language remains unchanged. Please note that the revised site plan on screen erroneously identifies the garage of the nearest residence as the residence itself, but as the garage is even closer to the subject parcel, this means that all required setbacks are still met. Next slide, please. The Redwood Valley Municipal Advisory Council's comments on this project have focused on questioning whether adequate notice had been or would be given to the public regarding consideration of this project. As a quick review, notices for public hearings on projects like this must be sent to the property owner, to local agencies expected to provide essential services to the property, and to all owners of property within 300 feet of the subject parcel per the last assessment roll. They must also be published in a newspaper of general circulation or posted in 3 public places. These notices must be mailed or delivered at least 10 days prior to the hearing. It should also be noted that a failure to receive a properly sent notice does not invalidate action on the application. Next slide. As mentioned at the start of today's hearing, this item was in fact properly noticed. Administrative permit applications under review do not have public noticing requirements beyond those required for public hearings. Solicitation of community input can, and in this place did occur prior to that, by referring the project to the Municipal Advisory Council. Next slide, please. This project has generated significant public interest, with several neighbors submitting statements in opposition to the project. All such statements received before today are in the public record and have been posted online, but staff would like to briefly respond to some of the concerns raised. Next slide. Several commenters have referred to this project as a variance and questioned why the rules should be changed for this project. As used in the Mendocino County Code, a variance is an exception from zone restrictions granted by the Planning Commission to permit development to vary to a specified extent from the area's height, yard, or space requirements, when a strict and literal interpretation of the code creates practical difficulties or unnecessary hardships. That's not what's being proposed here. A strict and literal interpretation of the code is that the requested setback reduction can be permitted, provided the requisite findings for an administrative permit can be made. This is not a unique exception to the standards required by the code. The zoning administrator routinely approves administrative permits for cannabis cultivation setbacks. This has only been elevated to the Planning Commission in recognition of the unusual level of community opposition, not due to any extraordinary factors of the request itself. A use requiring a discretionary permit is not inherently incompatible with the zoning district or parcel. Next slide. Several commenters brought up previous issues on site, including loud parties, fire department action on a burn pile, and unpermitted construction and cannabis cultivation. The applicant has submitted a statement responding to some of these allegations. This letter has been posted along with public comment. Department staff do note that an unpermitted greenhouse was indeed constructed and has since been demolished with a demo permit. Staff are not aware of any active issues on site requiring remediation. The stated goal of code enforcement in this county is to gain voluntary compliance in abating violations. Similarly, a major goal of the cannabis cultivation ordinance was to provide a pathway to allow cultivators previously operating outside the bounds of law to come into compliance, not punish them for past activities. Denying an applicant for past noncompliance issues would seem to be a reversal of this philosophy. Next slide, please. Finally, to approve the project, the Planning Commission must find that under circumstances of this particular case, the project would not constitute a nuisance or be detrimental to health, safety, peace, morals, comfort, or general welfare of persons residing or working in the neighborhood, or detrimental to the property or the general welfare of the county. Staff do not feel that the points raised in public comment or at any other point during review of this application are justification for the assumption that the project, if permitted, will operate as a nuisance. Operation of the cultivation in compliance with the Cannabis Cultivation Ordinance and the conditions of this permit will remain the responsibility of the applicant. The operation will be subject to inspection by the Mendocino Cannabis Department, and code enforcement remains receptive to and will investigate any complaints of nuisance or non-compliance, including objectionable odors. Such complaints can be made anonymously. Propagation of objectionable odors which cause injury, detriment, nuisance, or annoyance to any considerable number of persons or the public, or that endanger the comfort, response, health, or safety, would be cause to revoke this permit. Next slide, please. The construction of limited numbers of small structures and minor alterations and setbacks have been determined to be categorically exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA. The Mendocino County Code establishes 8 findings which must be made in order to approve the project. These findings are included in the draft resolution before you. Staff feel with the information presented in the staff report and this presentation, and with the recommended conditions, all 8 can be made. Given this, staff recommends the action on screen, conditionally approving the project. Please note that all recommended conditions are either standard ones required by the code for cannabis cultivation administrative permits, or simply clarifications of requirements that would apply whether explicitly listed out in the conditions or not. That concludes staff's presentation, and I remain available for questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the commission on staff's presentation today?
I was listening closely, but would you mind repeating your analysis of why this would not constitute a nuisance at this point? I'm probably totally misstating that, but I'm sure you know what I'm asking.
Sure. Staff's point in that is that there's no issues raised so far that would support the assumption that it will be a nuisance. And then there are conditions in place that if the operation is a nuisance, code enforcement can go out and it can be subject to revocation if necessary.
Okay.
Yeah, could you also just clarify, again, on your statement that this isn't a variance? I understand that technically it's not, but this site, excuse me, this project does require an administrative permit. It wouldn't qualify because of the conditions on the site. It wouldn't qualify without an administrative permit for cultivation. Is that correct?
That's correct. But a variance has higher findings that were referenced in some of the comments being made that don't apply here because a variance is separate, is a separate thing from an administrative permit.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Do we have any other comments from the commission or questions for staff from the commission? All right. Seeing none at this time, and we can always revisit. Do we have the applicant in the room? If the applicant wishes to speak, please state your name for our record, please.
Good morning. I'm Javier Rao. I'm the authorized agent for the applicant. Just wanted to say that we've read the staff report and reviewed all the conditions of approval, and we're in full agreement of the findings and the recommendations.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the commission for the applicant or applicant agent? Seeing none at this time. At this time, I'm going to invite the public to provide public comment. The commission will now hear public comment on this item. The commission will start with public comments in the room and then hear from telecommenters that are connected via Zoom. When called to speak, please state your name for the record. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person. Speakers are asked to please address their comments to the meeting chair and to refrain from using profanity or engaging in conversations with members of the audience or staff. Do we have members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Please come to the podium and state your name. Thank you.
My name is Josephine Silva. I'm from the estate of Evelyn J. Silva across the... Oh.
You please speak into the microphone so people that aren't in the room can hear you. Thank you.
My name is Josephine Silva. I'm representing Evelyn J. Silva estate across the river, catty corner from the property. We have an organic vineyard there. There's 32 acres on the property. And so well, just a question actually for the staff would be, if this reduced setback is in place, would that automatically mean that they could have another 5,000 square foot with that reduced setback? And then I would like to comment that, or question whether this is an organic cannabis grow and whether it would be a CCOF certified one. I feel that there's a need for the full setback as is security, so that any pesticide runoff, which is often used in cannabis grows, especially during rainstorms, would stay on the property and not go into the Russian River and cause any problems for the public, and particularly for our family, because we have a permit to use the river water for our organic grapes. That permit is for 3 months of the year, actually. So, of course, we're very concerned about organic contamination. And I've got grandkids that play in that river. So I would appreciate that this permit be denied on those grounds. You should note that the ground there is very rocky, especially going towards the river. And so there's water flows through that rocky ground that goes into the river. And I don't know that there's been any fish and game reports concerning this grow. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have our next public commenter in the room who wishes to speak? Thank you.
My name's Charlie Coleman. I live directly east of this property at 10551 East Road. For the members of the Planning Commission, good morning and thank you for hearing our concerns. And please do hear our concerns. My wife and I and our family have lived across the street for 38 years. This is a total new thing coming into our neighborhood. It's not really been in our neighborhood before. we're losing what peace and quiet we had. We're asking the Mendocino County Planning Commission to deny the administrative permit requesting the setback for this cannabis grow. I counted 15 letters against it by neighbors. I think some of those are duplicates. There's at least 10 or 11 in there, and one letter by the applicant. I don't really want to get into challenging the applicant here, but there's stuff in his letter that's completely not true. And the variance should not be approved for the setback reduction on administrative permit AP 2024011. It's non-compatible with the neighborhood. Mr. Fitzsimmons, he was not at the last meeting. We didn't have a chance to voice anything, so this is our opportunity, I guess, now. We don't feel that it complies with existing zoning setbacks. 100 feet, yes, you guys have the authority and the ability to say yes or no. We're asking you to say no. Don't give in to that down to 50-foot setback. There will be increased noise. There will be increased traffic. There will be offensive odor from cannabis, whether or not you use filters. We've been in this county for 40 years. We're always smelling people's marijuana, even in the city, coming out of filters. The filters don't work. And as soon as there's a mold issue, they open their greenhouses up. Do we have to call every time we see a greenhouse open because there's nothing to contain the cannabis, no filtration? I hope not. We believe there's an increased safety risk due to theft and other criminal activity. It's reducing property values for neighbors as well. According to the building and planning records, there were, as of October 24, 6 permits of notice of violation that had not been corrected or received a final inspection at 10550 East Road. I don't know if Mr. Fitzsimmons looked in those records, but we'd ask you guys to look in your own county records of building and planning. There's numerous violations on that property. Some of those were turned in by neighbors, I believe. Some the county has noticed. Open permits for a 30 by 70 barn, never been finalized. A greenhouse close to the Russian River that has been removed, but there's never been a final on the demolition permits, my understanding. Window replacements in the main house, no permit obtained, no finals done for that. Re-roof of the main house, a permit may have been obtained because someone turned it in. It's also never been finalized. Adjacent to the north end of the house, there's been an addition. There's no record in that even being in the building and planning. That was done within the last couple of years. There's a driveway encroachment issue on East Road with this new electric gate. It was put up there. Also, no permit was obtained for that. So there's been no finals on anything he's done on the property. We personally don't believe he's even going to bother following the rules. Now it's incumbent on us as the neighbors to become the police, and we don't want to have to do that. So please do not approve this. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any additional public commenters in the room? Thank you. Please state your name when you come up to the podium.
My name is Marianne Snyder. I am a neighbor of the applicant. A couple things before I read my statement. The agent had said that they had fixed the problem of the additional house that was found. I'm not sure when that measurement took place because I know it hadn't been done previously. So, and who is measuring? Who is going out and surveying these properties? And as far as saying that it only meets the garage as the perimeter, my structure, I'm not the one in question, but my structure, my property is all inclusive. I don't care if I'm in my garage or in my residence, it should count the same. So I strongly oppose this proposed reduction in the setback requirements for the marijuana operation. Allowing this exemption would directly impact many residents living in close proximity, and it would change the quality of their life at their residence. This is not in the middle of nowhere. This is in a neighborhood. If you look at the map, you can see how narrow this property is, and there are residents all around it. These setbacks were established by the county to help protect residents of Mendocino County, and I feel like if this were to go through, it is failing us. It is not protecting residents of Mendocino County. Approving this request would disregard longstanding homeowners and their rights for a stable environment and a protected community. The owner purchased the property, I believe, in 2020, fully aware of the size of the property, has other cultivation locations in the past, I'm not sure if current, but very clear on the standards. So if this was part of the process or the plan, that was already known ahead of time. I would never be able to build a residential home in a commercial area, and what the applicant is expecting is the exact same thing. I would request that you guys consider the desires of an entire community and the standard and quality of life that we had previously, that we would just like to continue. So I strongly urge you to deny this request, please.
Thank you. We have our next commenter from the room, please.
My name's Debbie Rivera Collins. I live at 10300 East Road. First, let me say I'm not opposed to marijuana, but I do believe it has its place. I'm going to read this for you. I'm writing on behalf of myself and several concerned neighbors regarding a proposed marijuana grow operation. While we understand that marijuana cultivation may be legal under state law, we have serious concerns about the impact such an operation could have on our neighborhood. Our primary concern is the strong, persistent odor commonly associated with marijuana grows, which can significantly diminish the quality of life for those living nearby. In addition to the smell, there are broader concerns about increased traffic, safety, property values. Our neighborhood is a quiet, family-oriented area, and the introduction of a marijuana grow, particularly one that emits strong odors, feels incompatible with the peaceful environment we all work hard to maintain. We are not opposed to individual rights, but we do believe that the interests of the broader community should be weighed carefully. Thank you for your attention to this matter. We appreciate any action that can be taken to preserve the comfort and integrity of our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Could we have our next public commenter, please? Thank you.
My name is Cheryl Snyder. I live at 10510 East Road, directly adjoining the property in question. I wrote a letter just how this impacts our family. I guess I'll read. I oppose this request for variance because I understand that the property line setbacks are crucial for maintaining safety, functionality, aesthetics, neighborhood. Setbacks also influence neighborhood appearance. Setbacks provide buffers between properties, reducing visual and noise intrusion from neighbors' properties. And this is what has been set up through Mendocino County. This will directly affect us as far as this is our view. We're worried about our property values. Smoke, not smoke, but the smell I'm very sensitive to, and I would have to probably move. That would be a hardship for me and my husband. We've lived here for quite a long time. And also with the property values going down, I'm not sure that we could afford a home comparable to this. And if you look at the pictures that I attached, our pool is just like 135 feet from where this cannabis grow will be, right like that. And that's pretty much, it's in a residential area. Just like the last case, it creates conflict when you mix the residential and the commercial together in a neighborhood such as ours. So.
Thank you. Can we have our next public speaker, please?
Hello, my name is Andrew Parmenter, and I am the neighbor on the north side of this property at 10580 East Road. And I just want to throw out one date, which is April 4th, 2017, and that's when the county created Ordinance 5381 to establish the 100-foot setbacks. So I'm really not sure why they did it, but they must have had their reasons to come up with the number 100, and I don't know why we're here at all. It's like, why is it, who are we to second guess the reasons that they made this setback rule? If they want to do it to 50 feet, then they should just make it countywide. The second date I want to put out is July 23rd, 2020. That was the date the applicant purchased the property. And with the 100 setback rule on the sides, it's got to be 100 from the north side and 100 from the south side. The property is exactly 200.0 feet, so there's nothing left to grow to put a commercial marijuana grow there. The applicant would have had to know that, and it's not really fair to anybody to change the rules when they could have just purchased a different property where they could have done this sort of operation. A 5,000 square foot grow, you could have a 70 by 70 foot building and you'd have your 5,000 square feet. You only need a property that's 270 feet from one end to the other. And there's probably dozens of these properties available for sale in Mendocino County, hundreds if you go out to the entire state. So it just doesn't make any sense to me that we should be changing the rules and inconveniencing people who are the neighboring property owners because the applicant didn't do their due diligence on ordinances that had existed 3 years or more before they purchased the property. And the last thing I want to point out is I'm concerned with traffic because I live on the north side of the property, and the house is built in 1958, so it's grandfathered. It's like 11 feet from the property line. So my bedroom, the headboard to the applicant's driveway is probably from me to that guy right there. And I'm concerned with the additional traffic from employees, vendors, customers coming through their driveway at all manners of the day. I would expect like a reasonable amount of noise from traffic from a residence, but not from a commercial operation that's maybe 20 feet from my bedroom. That's all.
Do we have any other public speakers?
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Martha Bora. I'm not adjacent to the applicant. However, I do farm considerable acreage about a quarter of a mile up the road. Have been in the valley for 45 years. So I'm familiar with the area that the applicant is proposing to put a grow on. It is a neighborhood, and I don't know if any of you visited the site, but if you had, you would have seen an amazing impact on all of the residents who are there. There is also a vineyard that will be 50, if this is approved, 50 feet from the boundary line. I spoke to that grower this morning and he did not receive a notice. However, he is opposed. I have purchased 4 different properties contiguous to us just to make sure that I could control cannabis not going next to our certified organic vineyards. What I am seeing is that this would change the neighborhood, and I think what we have to respect, and this is what I'm asking you to respect, is that Redwood Valley is the bedroom community of Ukiah. It is a residential area, and this one particularly is very built out. We are short on water. As you well know, Redwood Valley County Water District has a moratorium. He proposes to use ag water twice in the last 3 years. We have been without ag water. So if he's depending upon that, that is not plausible. Wells, look at the wells close by in this property. We all know what runoff does to our groundwater. We are looking at the California Sustainable Groundwater Act right now in Mendocino County, and there will be soon, I believe, real restrictions on well use. for cannabis. So I'm asking you, please, please do not allow these setbacks to go. And the other thing I want to mention, in the resolution, there is a proposition, or there is that you will be approving, is for 6,000 square feet of building, because staff has decided that the aisles are not to be considered. So instead of 5,000 square foot grow, it would be 6,000 of building. I hope you read that carefully. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any additional public comment from folks here in the audience?
Yes, I'm Scott Dunebeck. My property sits just to the south. Standing in my living room, I can look down into my neighbor's yard right where he's going to put this grow. And I would just ask you guys to consider the rules of 100-foot setback that have already been established and to abide by them. They're there to protect us. We are not asking for anything out of the ordinary, an exemption to make this happen. He is asking for it. We ask that you honor our wishes, our way of life, our property values, our smells, everything that we have, our way of life, so that we can continue and that you vote against this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tom Snyder. I'm one of the Snyders objecting to this. Several of us are involved. It goes way back to when we first met with Marco. He invited me to have an understanding about cannabis, and I told him I didn't really have any problem with it, except that it raised a stench. It brought a lot of unsavory folks into the neighborhood, and other than that, it's his property. He can do what he wants with it. But evidently, the 100-foot setback is a stop measure for him being able to do what he'd like to do. The bottom line for me is I've been in business in this county for 40 years, and as a building contractor, I have life experience, the use and a need for a variance. I have had several times when a building department or a city agency told me you can't do that because you don't meet the requirements of the setbacks. Anyway, so the upholds the requirements and established to protect the neighborhood just like ours. That's the purpose of the need for the variance, and it's a hardship for him. I understand that because he's spent a lot of money and invested in this property. But at the same time, we have invested a lot of money and time in our places too. The regard to the water, I'm not sure of the setback difference. I'm on the south side of the property. What was the increased or decreased setback from my property? I'll ask the staff.
Do you say you were on the south side?
South side, right.
It looks like to the residence or to the property line?
To the property line. I've got a well with 62 feet. I've got a well that's within 68 feet of that property then. And I'm concerned about what's going to happen to my well in regard to effluents, something getting in there that's going to hurt our drinkability. Long story short, United Front of the Neighbors, I know you've already heard and read the letters and expressed via letter or verbally here today, very succinctly deny this application for variance based on primarily the setback requirements. I don't see any other need for argument. Thank you for your time and appreciate your vote. Hope it works out for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any additional public comment from folks here in the room? Seeing none right now. I'm going to see if we have anybody on Zoom and then we can do a double check. Do we have any raised hands on Zoom?
We do not have any raised hands on Zoom.
Okay. And I just want to confirm, do we have any other public commenters who wish to speak on this item at this time? Okay. Seeing none. Do we have any final remarks from staff on this item?
Yes, if I may, through the chair. I did want to respond to one item that came up during the comments just now. The definition of the 5,000 square feet for cannabis cultivation referring only to the canopy itself and not to the greenhouses is from Chapter 10A17 and is consistent with how cannabis regulations have been applied throughout the county.
Thank you. Do we have any final remarks from our applicant or applicant agent? Seeing none. Okay. All right. Do we have any questions or clarifying comments from our commission to staff or the applicant? And I'll start with you.
First, I just want to appreciate the neighborhood and the community coming forth and giving your public expression. I always find that is kind of makes me, it's why I'm here, because it's about keeping community alive and strong in Mendocino County. And to have that level of input is really important because it puts several layers on a project when it's presented to us. We have it in, we have our planner giving their input in our planning department, and then we have the people who are on the ground, and that's you, who are experiencing it. And so I'm clear at how my vote's going to be on this. And so I'll pass until we're ready to take a motion.
I'll go last, so I'm going to go to you, Cliff.
Well, I guess I'll just say that, cannabis has been a contentious issue ongoingly for quite a while. And I typically am in favor of allowing cannabis cultivation to happen in zones where it has been properly designated to happen. It does feel like in this particular instance, the minimum setback and the size of the lot meant that this property would not be one, again, without an administrative permit where cannabis would be allowed to happen. So I tend to feel like in this particular instance, this is not a property in which the cohesive planning process would have allowed cannabis cultivation to happen. I feel inclined to not permit it here as well.
Commissioner Rogers.
What he said, I totally agree.
I just want to point out some sections of the code so that the public is aware, because I think maybe there's some confusion on things regarding the size and if reducing the setback would allow for additional cultivation. Section 20.242060, Table 2, lists the minimum size to increase from the 5,000 to 10 acres, and this property does not meet that. So even with the reduction of the setback, depending on how the vote goes today, they could not increase beyond that 5,000 square feet of canopy, which is measured from the drip line typically of the plant, not the structure which the cannabis is housed in. So I just wanted to clarify that. And then there are questions regarding Water Board and Fish and Wildlife, and all cultivators are required to obtain a general waste discharge permit from the state, from the Regional Water Board, as well as a lake and stream bed alteration agreement from Fish and Wildlife, and a sensitive species habitat review from Fish and Wildlife, which was included in the staff report I did see from Mr. Fitzsimmons. I saw there were a few comments on that, and I just wanted to reiterate that information. And so for any future applications, there are places that you can look for what is permitted size-wise, would be in chapters 20.242 for cannabis cultivation size based on the lot size that the applicant is applying on. All right. I did not have any additional comments for staff or anybody. I just wanted to bring those points up so that our audience knew, since we have such a public interest, that there is additional information that they can find in those sections. At this time, since we have no additional comments from our commission, I think I'm going to invite a motion on this item from our commission. And what district are we in? I always tend to look at where we're at. I think we're in 1, right? Cliff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, go, Cliff.
I always tend to look where we're
Yeah,
at.
no, that's good.
Madam Chair, just one comment on motions. So in front of you today right now is a resolution that was drafted for approval. If there is a motion that was coming forward for denial, we will have to then recast that resolution and make the findings that are specifically about that denial.
Okay.
So just as that doesn't mean we can't do anything on that today. We just have to have language and talk that through with the commission.
Okay, so staff would need a little bit of time to redraft that resolution if there was changes that were requested for denial.
Deputy County Counsel Matthew Kudrowski, at least a minimum, and if not, continuance. Just to make sure we bring something back that would be something that could be worked on by the commission, thinking obviously in the case this does get appealed.
Does staff have a preference for whether a continuance would be asked for, or if they just would request a set of time to read it?
Generally, we would request a continuance if that were the case, because it allows staff time more than just moving on the fly to be able to work through and also post that and make it publicly available further in advance of that next meeting.
Okay, is the commission all clear on that then, on the request from staff?
Do you need a continuance for a date certain, or just tell staff can prepare?
Yes, we would want a date certain.
Okay, would the August?
Oh yeah, and I think August 7th would be reasonable time.
Right.
Okay.
And then just to, again, reiterate what Deputy County Counsel Kudrowski said as well, if the commission does move that direction towards wanting to see a resolution drafted for denial, some direction will need to be provided to staff on the findings to base that upon.
Okay. Did you have enough information in that? Yeah.
All right.
So do you need direction from the commission on what findings would be appropriate in there?
I think first we would want to hear how the commission would, the motion for how you wish to act upon this application, and then we can provide advice from that point.
Sure.
Okay. So is that more roll call-y on how we would favor, or do we actually make a motion and second and roll call? Okay.
Make a motion.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion that we continue this item to a date certain for the August 7th hearing.
With recommendation for denial.
Or with a recommendation to staff to prepare findings for denial.
Do we have a second?
I second that. And may I add in the second that we're basically not allowing a variance to the setbacks.
It's not a variance,
we're holding to the established setbacks permitted.
Correct. Not a variance though, because it is an administrative permit. Yes.
Exactly.
Okay. Can I get roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Wiedemann?
Yes.
Commissioner Pollan?
Yes.
Commissioner Richards?
Yes.
Chair Babini?
Yes, and note from Kudrowski.
Deputy County Counsel, before we close that vote, I do think we'd like to have the more discussion and direction.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. I think we can have that discussion now on those recommendations to staff for that. I think we were just getting that to date certain motion going, if that's all right, or do you need that before we vote? I think that was part of our clarification.
Procedurally speaking, I think if we had a motion on the floor to discuss, we're going to have it voted, and then once we have the direction to to staff for drafting, then I think we can have a final vote on that motion.
Okay, and so I think there was just a little confusion there from myself and commission to, let's do that then on what our recommendations are here on why our findings are for the recommendation of denial and motion of denial of this permit application.
And so staff would recommend, so as you are aware, there's the findings that are in the resolution that was drafted for today's meeting there's the findings that are required to be made for an administrative permit are stated there. So it'd be helpful from staff's perspective to hear from the commission on your reasons or, which finding you feel is not satisfied. So that way it would allow staff to work on a draft.
If it's Sibbons, do you happen?
I'll give numbers.
Perfect. Thank you.
Page 1, number 3, pursuant to MCC section 20.192.020, parentheses C, the proposed reduced cultivation setback, it will, in this one, it's saying it will not, under any circumstances, constitute a nuisance or detrimental to health, safety, peace, morals, comfort, or general welfare of persons residing or working or passing through the neighborhood as such proposed. I would say it does. It doesn't meet that 3, the reduced setback.
The findings, so if we have the facts that we've heard in today's meeting that would support that.
Right, per as addressed in this meeting by the public and the neighbors. That's one.
Going back to the findings as
We
well.
could get more.
And I think for, not trying to be difficult, but I think for staff, if we can clarify what out of the conversation today is leading to that, it really just does help staff to narrow in on how we prepare that finding.
Okay. Well, what I'm referring to is we just heard from the majority of the neighborhood talking about the smaller, reduced setbacks will create a hardship for them because it's allowing marijuana to be closer to their borders, their property, and it therefore increase the risk of smell and encroachment of disturbance on their property. So, and I just need to say this, you know, and I understand you need clarity, but this is what's before us is a request to change, to get a variance. We're denying that they can get this variance. To me, based on the language in the zoning that created the setbacks, there's reasons for those setbacks. Can't we just go back to the original creation of those section and reiterate it?
I just want to be clear. It is not a variance. We don't want to use that word because it gets very misconstrued in the public. We want to be careful when using it because there are variances for specific things, but this would be an exception utilizing the administrative permit process to the exception of that code section. And in the code, previously to January 1st of 2020, the setbacks were, for any cultivation prior to that date, were 50 feet from property lines. Any cultivation after that date, which this application is requesting, is that extended 100-foot setback, and that is why this property, does not meet that 100-foot and is requesting with an administrative permit the reduction in that setback. I just want to make sure that we aren't using the variance, just because I think it rolls over to the public as being confusing for them as well.
I get what you're saying.
So, Deputy County Counsel Matthew Gadrowski, in terms of the item today, and is taking action in general, if we are approving or denying a project, we have to make the findings required by code, and findings essentially mean a connection between the facts and the law. So that's why Julia Krog, Ms. Krog, is not wanting to badger the commission, but we are looking to be able to get the direction on what to write for the commission's review that would just meet that standard of a finding. Just make sure this is a formal approval by the Planning Commission.
And I'll say I think Commissioner Wiedemann's clarification did provide some helpful guidance to staff in drafting that. And then, of course, if any other commissioners have comments that they wish to add to that, we are happy to hear them.
I guess, I've been in the cannabis space my whole life, right? I grew up in this county. I'm from Laytonville. Cannabis cultivation prior to legalization and cannabis post-legalization. I've worked in the industry for years on the jurisdiction side, right? So I worked for, the planning, worked for the planning department for the cannabis. I've worked very closely with the state. This process of the administrative permit is a path forward for applicants to, get an exception to the code that's there. And when we're setting precedent for one person, we have to think about it in respect to everybody that then, we would be moving forward looking at if we are picking and choosing who we're saying yes and no to. We have to have strong findings as to why we're saying no to this applicant versus no to or yes to other applicants. I think, at least for me, because listening to Mr. Fitzsimmons' findings on why staff recommended approval, I think that it is based off of all the information that was provided. There is this pathway forward for them to reduce that setback. Most cannabis cultivators were allowed that 50-foot setback. It was just those cultivators after the January 1st, 2020 that had that, expanded setback requirement. I guess I want to hear from the rest of our commission if we feel that there are any additional findings that we feel that this project does not meet, or based on public comment or public concern, that we want to incorporate in our changed resolution or recommendation that the commission has brought forth for denial for our continued meeting.
Well, I would just say, looking at the findings, finding number 1 uses a rationale that this application is in conformity with the general plan, and it says that under this reasoning, reduced cultivation setback as proposed by this project is in conformance with the general plan, but there's not a factual statement in there that states why a reduced cultivation setback is necessarily in conformance with the general plan. Just in speaking to your comment there, Commissioner Babini, I think that it is important to look at precedent, but I also think that in a way, what we're being asked to do here is to diverge, not a variance, but to diverge from the setback requirements that are out there. And I think that there should be a precedent on why it is appropriate and reasonable in certain circumstances. And in this particular circumstance, it seems as if the totality of the circumstances do not provide that reasoning to me. And therefore, this would not be a good opportunity to provide precedent that we should just grant them as a matter of precedent without having findings that and factual evidence that supports such a divergence. So I don't particularly agree with the rationale as provided in finding number 1. It does seem that in this particular circumstance that a reduced cultivation setback would not be in conformance with the general plan, in as much that it does have, that the lot itself was not sized properly to be a cultivation area under the standard protocol as laid out with setback limitations.
Thank you. Do we have any other final comment, or do we need additional direction from staff or from the commission to staff for moving this item forward to the next meeting?
I think we have direction that we need, but I do believe we may
I know. Do we need to recall our vote, or redo our vote?
Deputy County Councilman Matthew Kudrowski, let's redo the vote for a final statement with that direction and the continuance to August 7th to bring back a resolution for denial.
Okay. Do we have a motion with the additional recommendations to staff?
I would like to move that we continue this item to August 7th with a recommendation to staff to provide findings to deny this application.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Wiedemann?
Yes.
Commissioner Pollan?
Yes.
Commissioner Richards?
Yes.
Chair Babini?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. And I just want to say thank you to staff and to all the members of the public who came, the applicant and applicant's agent who came in and provided comment and was able to be present for the item heard today. Thank you.
And if I may just comment that procedurally for the public, there will not be an additional public notice for the August 7th meeting. So the action here today is your notice that this item will be discussed on August 7th for consideration of the resolution for denial.
And just clarity, because we do this occasionally where we continue items. At that time, we did hear staff presentation. We did hear items or comments from the public. Typically, we will have a reduced staff report, kind of added items at that point, and we do have a space for people to provide comment again if they would like to. But we do take into consideration all comments that were heard today. Thank you. So I believe that's what Director Krog was stating, is that we do not have to republicly notice the same way that we would at a past meeting because we're continuing to a date certain. It is in our recorded meeting that is publicized, as well as to the folks that are here in the room.
That's correct. Thank you.
All right. We're going to move on to agenda item number 7, which is matters from staff. Do we have any matters from staff today that are not on the agenda? Seeing none. Okay, agenda items number 8. Do we have any matters from the commission? Seeing none. All right. Item 9. Do we have a motion for adjournment? Fight for it.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second. Can we get some ayes? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.